I transmigrated into the villainess of the book. The male lead worked construction to pay for my college, but I turned around, hooked up with a rich second-generation heir, and dumped him. Later, with the female lead by his side, he built a business empire. Then I shamelessly threw myself at him, begging for reconciliation. The performance ended, and thunderous applause erupted from the audience. A wealthy second-generation suitor from school walked onto the stage holding a large bouquet of fiery red roses. "Wendy, I like you, be my girlfriend." The audience instantly erupted in waves of teasing cheers. "Say yes, say yes." I turned to look at the very back of the audience, where someone was watching the heartfelt confession on stage with indifference. Our eyes met, and he smirked before standing up to leave. "No, I can't. My boyfriend would get jealous if he saw this." I didn't even glance at the bouquet of roses, lifting my skirt as I turned and stepped off the stage. For a moment, all eyes followed my footsteps. Holding the hem of my dress, I ran swiftly and grabbed Charles's arm. Charles's body stiffened, but he didn't turn around. "I didn't change my clothes. Your classmates will laugh at you if they see me like this." I grabbed his hand and mumbled softly with a pout. "But I dressed up so prettily just for you to see. Don't you want to look at me?" A long time passed. Charles slowly turned around, wearing a shabby camouflage uniform with even mud stains on it. The classmates all cast surprised glances, seemingly never expecting the school belle to have found such a boyfriend. His back was straight, his voice tinged with helplessness. "Let go first. My hands are dirty." His hands were covered with calluses, rough to the touch, a stark contrast to his handsome face. I looked up at him, curling my lips into a smile. "No, you're not dirty at all." I shook his arm playfully. "My performance was such a success. Won't you give me a hug? Don't be ridiculous." I suddenly jumped up and wrapped my arms around his neck, clinging to him with my long, straight legs winding around his waist. Charles froze for a moment, but instinctively reached out to hold down the hem of my dress, carrying me swiftly out of the venue. "Humph, such a hypocrite." Charles carried me all the way to the dormitory building before putting me down. Then he said something completely out of the blue. "Why did you do this?" The old Wendy wouldn't have let him hold her in public, much less allowed Charles to visit her at school. "Aren't you my boyfriend?" Charles stared at me intently, his eyes shimmering with an unfathomable glimmer. After a long pause, he smiled and said, "Since you're my girlfriend, come with me to a place, in the urban village." Inside a rented room, as soon as the door opened, a musty smell wafted out. The room was dim and damp, furnished only with a simple single bed, not even an extra stool in sight. Charles sat on the bed, lit a cigarette, and didn't even lift his eyelids. "Have a seat." The only place to sit in the room was the bed against the wall, yet he was sprawled right in the middle of it. I turned my gaze and walked over without hesitation, and sat on his lap. Charles's body stiffened, his hand holding the cigarette, unsure where to place it. Eventually tossing it aside and crushing it underfoot. "What do you want now? I've already given you this month's salary." At this point in the book, Charles already knew the original host didn't love him. Visiting her at school was just to confirm it one last time, and in the end, he saw her accept the rich second-generation heir. Coincidentally, that's exactly when I transmigrated into the story. He had secretly co-founded an internet startup with partners. Though the company was just getting off the ground, he was by no means short on money. He simply didn't want to spend another cent on a gold digger like me. "I don't want money, I want something else." Charles raised an eyebrow. "You're not going to say you want my body, are you?" He was genuinely handsome, with a straight posture and a striking face. Definitely the kind of man women would drool over. "I don't like Kay, the one who sent me flowers today. He keeps bothering me." Haven't you always wanted to marry a rich man? Loving money is one thing, but you need to be alive to spend it. In my past life, I married a wealthy heir who cheated and abused me. When I asked for a divorce, he chained me in the basement. I needed someone to help me escape him, and Charles was the perfect candidate. "What makes you think I'd help you again?" "Because of your pretty face." I crouched down in front of him, looking up at his face. "I may not have many advantages, but I'm quite confident in this face of mine. After all, in my past life, countless men bowed to me because of this face. Even in the end, it was Charles who rescued me from the hands of that rich second-generation heir. All thanks to this face, wasn't it? I'll graduate in a year. I can start working part-time now to pay you back. I don't need it. Get out of my house now." Just as he spoke, a sudden knock-knock came from outside the door. A gentle female voice called out, "President Charles. Are you there?" Charles's eyes involuntarily turned cold, tinged with a hint of disgust. He sat there as if the sound had passed by like the wind, seemingly unhearing of that voice. Then his phone rang persistently, hanging up automatically only to ring again. The person outside must have heard it too, yet stubbornly kept calling over and over. I directly hung up the call, walked over, and yanked the door open. Standing at the door was a girl, hearing the sound of the door opening. She looked up and froze at the sight of me. I looked her up and down. This was Kayla, the female lead whom Charles would later cherish in the palm of his hand. She wore a simple t-shirt and jeans, with light makeup on her face, looking youthful and vibrant. However, having stood outside for so long, her forehead was glistening with sweat from the heat. Her makeup was even starting to smudge. Meanwhile, I was dressed in a high-end dress bought with Charles's salary, my hair meticulously styled, and my face adorned with flawless makeup. The stark contrast between us made her body sway slightly, and she unconsciously pressed her lips together. Only a pair of eyes shimmered with unwavering determination. "Who are you?" "I'm Charles's girlfriend. Didn't he tell you?" Of course, Charles had mentioned it, but she had never seen them together, not even on Valentine's Day when Wendy never showed up. Kayla had thought it was just an excuse from Charles, but who knew he actually had a girlfriend? Kayla's face turned pale, looking as if she might faint at any moment. Charles finally emerged from the house at this point. "Kayla, what brings you here?" Kayla's eyes were red as she handed over a document, saying, "There's an urgent matter at the company. I couldn't reach you by phone, so I came over." "I understand. I'll head there right away." "You should go back first." Kayla's tears finally couldn't be held back any longer, streaming down her face as sweat mixed with them, trickling into her neck. She looked truly pitiful. I rummaged through my bag and handed her a pack of wet wipes, comforting her. "Don't cry, your makeup is all smudged." To my surprise, she shoved me away fiercely, snapping, "Who asked for your fake kindness?" With that, she turned and ran off, still sobbing. Considering she'll be Charles's beloved and the future wife of the conglomerate, I held my tongue. Turning around, Charles glared at me with a dark expression. "Why were you so polite to her?" "Me? Isn't she your colleague? How did you know?" I waved the document in my hand, and Charles's eyelid twitched as he sneered. "I never thought you could actually understand this." All right, the old me only had eyes for luxury brands, with my mind solely focused on dressing up every day. I even relied on last-minute cramming for every exam. Finally, Charles lifted his eyelids and said, "Now you can leave. Leave now." Recalling my past life when Kay locked me in the basement, I couldn't help but shiver. "I won't leave. Kay is always lurking outside my dorm. I want to stay here with you." "Are you sure you can get used to living here? Go stay at a hotel." "I don't have money, can't afford a hotel." "Don't tell me you spent 10,000 yuan in just 7 days. I stared back at him in silence when suddenly someone knocked on the door. "Is this Mr. Charles's residence? The air conditioner you ordered has arrived." I walked over and opened the door. The technician confirmed the details with me, then swiftly carried the air conditioner inside to install it. "Charles, did you buy this?" Before the words had even fully left his mouth, someone else poked their head in to ask, "Did you order a bed?" Within the next hour, one after another, merchants delivered a refrigerator, sofa, and water heater. Charles had already given up and was sitting on the single bed his master had cleared out, smoking. When the master finished all the installations, he said to Charles on the bed, "Young man, stand up first." Charles stood up, baffled, as several masters swiftly dismantled the single bed and carried it away. Before leaving, they said sincerely, "This is our newly launched trash disposal service. Please give us a good review." Charles's face darkened even more. I was too exhausted to explain anything to him, so I just rummaged through a cardboard box at the foot of the bed, grabbed a set of clothes, and headed straight for the bathroom. By the time I came out, Charles was sitting on the sofa reviewing some documents. Charles's clothes were a bit too big for me. What was meant to be a modest neckline ended up looking like a plunging neckline on me. Charles didn't have a hairdryer at home, so I towel-dried my hair until it was half dry and draped it over my shoulders, dampening the fabric on my chest. Charles only glanced at me before turning his head away, his ears suspiciously red. He frowned and said impatiently, "I'm going to buy something." About 10 minutes later, He returned with 2 meals in hand. He tore open a box and ate hungrily, then pulled out a pink hairdryer from his pocket and tossed it in front of me. Found it in a roadside trash can. Go dry your hair, don't get my bed wet. Humph, what a tsundere man. By the time I finished drying my hair, Charles had already gone to take a shower, leaving a plate of seafood fried rice on the table. Each grain of rice, coated in egg, was stir-fried to a golden hue, topped generously with a layer of shrimp, yet the portion he had just eaten was clearly just an ordinary egg-fried rice. When Charles came out after showering, I was in the middle of eating. Hearing the sound, I looked up and froze. His hair wasn't dried, just a towel draped over it. His upper body was bare, water trickling down his chest and abs, finally following the lines of his Adonis belt into his athletic shorts. Charles curled the corner of his lips. Wipe your drool. I reflexively wiped my mouth. There was no drool at all. At night, I slept on the bed while Charles, with his 185 centimeters height, was curled up on the sofa. Looking extremely cramped, he volunteered to sleep on the sofa himself. Humph, serves him right. I turned over with my back facing him. The next day, after Charles went out, I returned to school to pack my things, only to be stopped as soon as I reached the school gate. Kay looked pale, as if he hadn't slept all night, and demanded, "Where have you been? Where else would I go with my boyfriend? Besides, what does it have to do with you where I go?" His chest heaved violently, clearly furious. Is he even worthy? He pressed aggressively, his tone dripping with sarcasm. What about me isn't better than him? Are you saying he's not worthy? But you are. We grew up together as childhood sweethearts and started dating in high school. He even paid for my college tuition, everything I wear, everything I own, even the food and drinks I consume. He bought them all for me. How is he not good enough? If anyone's unworthy in this relationship, it's me, not him. I was absolutely furious. In my eyes, he surpasses you in every way. The only thing you have over him is money. Is that really the source of your superiority complex? Chen Kai seemed to have seized upon his opponent's weakness, his voice suddenly rising in volume. I'm rich. Don't you want to be poor for the rest of your life with some broke guy? Sorry, but I've actually been taken care of by the so-called broke guy you're talking about. No matter how poor he is, he's never let me go without. And if you keep harassing me, my boyfriend might just come and teach you a lesson. Kay scoffed. That boyfriend of yours is probably too busy hauling bricks at a construction site to have time for you. As he spoke, he reached out to grab my hand. Suddenly, a hand reached out and firmly grabbed Kay's arm. When it comes to my girlfriend, I have all the time in the world. Kay yelped in pain, repeatedly crying out, "It hurts, it hurts, it hurts." Charles remained unmoved, his grip on Kay like a vice. His voice was icy cold, as if laced with frost. Stay away from my girlfriend, otherwise, you know how it is. Someone like me, a poor bastard, my life isn't worth much, but yours, that's a different story. Kay's face turned pale with fright, nodding repeatedly. The moment Charles released his grip, he scrambled away in a panic. Charles turned to face me, his expression strangely complex, somewhere between moved and embarrassed. It took quite a while for his complexion to return to normal. You said he was harassing you. Why did you come back? Aren't you disgusted by me? Charles grew anxious. When did I ever say that? Then why are you sleeping on the couch? Charles's face turned pale, then red, like a dye vat. You're a girl, how can you be so unreserved? Finally, he stammered out a sentence. I don't dislike you. Watching me pack my things, Charles directly took me back to the rental apartment. Have you found an internship yet? No, starting today, you'll work at our company, he added before I could even feel happy. Your salary will be used to pay off the debt. Then what will I eat and drink? Charles blushed slightly, pretending to be serious. The company provides food and accommodation. I followed Charles to their company, which wasn't very large, with only about 20 people. When Charles led me inside, a few colleagues started teasing. Director Charles, is this your girlfriend? Charles neither admitted nor denied it, just couldn't hide his smile as he said, just treat her as a new colleague. Kayla turned pale and stiffly joined in with a few forced claps. I secretly turned my head to see if Charles felt heartbroken at the sight, but as soon as I turned, I met his gaze, with a smile at the corners of his lips. He looked at me intently, feeling a bit embarrassed. I coughed lightly and asked, What work do I do? Come with me." As I followed Charles away, I overheard the murmurs of my colleagues behind me. "I never expected President Charles's girlfriend to be so beautiful. This is the first time I've seen him so gentle, right? Look how doting President Charles is with her. Ah, a handsome man paired with a beautiful woman. What a perfect match." Suddenly, with a thud, something fell to the ground. Immediately, several voices cried out, "Oh no, Kayla! How did you drop the cup? Was it too hot?" The moment I closed the office door, I turned to look back. Kayla was staring at me intently, the paper in her hand crumpled into a ball. I found it a bit strange. Charles didn't seem to like Kayla at all, so why did they end up together in the end? Is it really possible to develop feelings over time? You'll be my assistant from now on. If there's anything you don't understand, just ask me directly. Am I getting in the way of their relationship? Hey! What are you spacing out for? I snapped back to reality and found Charles standing in front of me, looking at me strangely. "What are you thinking about? Have you noticed that Kayla likes you? That's her business. What does it have to do with me? If you don't like it, I'll fire her." "Don't you like her at all? She's beautiful and capable." Charles's expression suddenly turned cold. "What, do you really want me to like her? How could that be?" I just don't want you to regret it later. After all, I can't do anything except spend your money. I like it when you spend my money, just as you said. I really like that everything about you is bought with my money. You heard what I said to Kay." Charles blushed slightly and coughed deliberately, trying to act nonchalant. "Get to work. I didn't hire you to sit around." Under Charles's hands-on guidance, I quickly became adept at my assistant role, handling it with ease. I got along better and better with my colleagues, occasionally joining them for meals and gatherings. Only Kayla never attended any gathering I was part of. Kayla recently landed a big deal, and all her colleagues pestered her in the evening, asking where she wanted to go to celebrate. Company policy states that whoever closes the deal gets to pick the restaurant. Kayla didn't answer, her gaze haughtily sweeping past the crowd to land on me. I smiled and turned to Charles, saying I had a beauty appointment and wouldn't be joining the celebration. I've always cherished my face, so Charles didn't suspect anything, only reminding me to wait for him to pick me up after my treatment. I went back to the beauty salon I frequent, and by the time I left, it was already past 10 p.m. My phone hadn't made a single sound. Charles didn't call. There was only one message from 2 hours ago. "I ordered takeout for you. Eat there and wait for me. Don't wander off." I called, but Charles's phone kept ringing with no answer. Finally, the call wouldn't go through at all. My heart suddenly tightened, and I immediately hailed a taxi to go over. When I reached the private room's door, I took a deep breath and then pushed it open abruptly. The colleagues were all very surprised to see me. "Wendy, what brings you here? Where's Charles?" There was an urgent matter on the client's side, so Charles and Kayla rushed over temporarily. I forced a slight smile. "Oh, I see. Never mind then. Please let Charles know I went home first when he gets back." On the way home, my phone rang several times, but I hung up directly and opened WeChat. Kayla posted on her moments 2 minutes ago. On the way home, personally escorted by my crush. Even the air feels sweet. The accompanying photo shows the side profile of a man driving, so familiar yet so distant. By the time Charles got home, it was already 11. His first words were an apology. "Sorry. Something came up last minute. I tried calling you later, but you didn't answer. In the end, they told me you'd been here. My apologies. I broke our promise today." He had a good attitude, so I decided to give him another chance. "Why didn't you answer the phone? Did you call me?" Charles took out his phone and tapped a few times, puzzled. "How did it get set to silent?" I sneered. "Who touched your phone today?" Charles thought for a moment. "Kayla said her phone had no signal, so she borrowed mine to make a call." "You don't suspect she tampered with my phone, do you?" He patted my head reassuringly. "Maybe I accidentally pressed something." I pretended to ask casually, "Didn't you used to dislike her?" Charles pondered and smiled. "That's true. She used to ask me some silly questions all the time, which annoyed me, but later I realized she's actually quite capable at work." "Did you really take her home?" "She had a few glasses of white wine with the client and got a bit tipsy, so I just gave her a ride since it was on my way." A heavy weight seemed to press down on my heart, sinking it deep. It felt as if the hand of fate was invisibly orchestrating everything. perhaps in the end, they would still be drawn to each other. At that moment, I felt utterly disheartened and pushed his hand away. I'm tired, let's rest for now. Charles held me back. Are you upset? His handsome features were filled with unmistakable tenderness and anxiety, laid bare before me without any pretense. I have no doubt about his sincerity at this moment. Charles, would you like to sleep with me tonight? Charles thought he had misheard. Stunned, I stood on tiptoe to kiss him, my lips landing on his thin eyelids, and his body trembled for a moment. When I woke up the next morning, the other side of the bed was already empty. There were a few unread messages on WeChat. No work today. Your boyfriend has approved your leave. Breakfast is in the microwave. Heat it up before eating. After breakfast, I packed my clothes into a bag. Truth be told, I didn't have much. Everything here was bought by Charles. When Kathy came to pick me up, she kept chattering away. Don't worry, I'm a top-tier agent in the industry. Stick with me, and I'll make sure you become an overnight sensation. I believed her. After all, in my past life, she was the one who propelled me to the throne of Best Actress. You're sure you didn't leave any leverage in your ex-boyfriend's hands, right? Let me tell you, once you make it big, if he leaks any dirt on you, it'll be a disaster. Don't you worry. In my past life, after using him up, I turned around and married Kay. Eventually becoming the hottest female star in the entertainment industry. Even then, he never mentioned a word about it, so he definitely won't this time around. Before leaving, I sent Charles a text. Let's break up, I'll pay you back the money I owe within a year. Then I changed my number and left the city with Kathy. Kathy secured me an audition for a supporting female role, which wasn't difficult for me at all. After my performance, the director immediately signed the contract on the spot. The series took a full 6 months to film, and I received a substantial paycheck. I transferred all the money to Charles, even though it meant nothing to him now. This year, Charles began to make a name for himself in the business world, becoming a rising star in the industry. Meanwhile, the TV series I starred in aired on a major network, and my refined acting skills earned me some recognition. Kathy seized the opportunity to land me a few promising film roles. And soon my name started gaining public attention. Almost immediately, various scandals about me began spreading like wildfire. Just type my name online, and a list of related terms immediately pops up below. Wendy's plastic surgery, Wendy being kept as a mistress, the mysterious sugar daddy behind Wendy. Even the photo of me hugging Charles after that dance was posted online. The headline read, A-list actress's blue-collar first love. The picture clearly showed half of my face. While Charles's features were barely discernible, I was wearing an extravagant dance gown, my slender legs wrapped around the man's waist as he held me with one arm around my back and the other supporting my hips, effectively eliminating any risk of a wardrobe malfunction. I scrolled through the comments for ages, and they were all bashing me. Kathy was so angry she almost tore the throw pillow to shreds. Look at what they're saying. Abandoned her poor ex-boyfriend after getting famous. You clearly broke up with him before even entering the entertainment industry, and this one claims your boyfriend worked construction to put you through college, only for you to dump him after making it big, calling you ungrateful. Do they even know the truth before spouting nonsense? Actually, they're not entirely wrong. Kathy, I was talking about him working construction to put me through college. Kathy glared at me fiercely. Didn't you pay him back that money ages ago? The money was repaid, but the debt of gratitude remains. Kathy finally got tired of scolding and sighed. This issue can only be resolved at its source. Could you ask him to post a social media statement, saying you two broke up before you entered the industry? Impossible. Why? I looked into Kathy's eyes earnestly and came up with a plausible excuse. He's married now, and his wife doesn't know about our past. Wouldn't asking him to speak up just ruin someone else's family? Having been married for several years, Kathy deeply understood how married women feel about their husbands' first loves, so she immediately abandoned this risky idea. Finally, she reminded me not to respond to anything and to just stay at home to avoid the storm for now. Once new gossip emerges, everyone will quickly forget about this matter. I obediently agreed to follow her arrangements. You'd really listen to me no matter what? Without hesitation, I nodded. Even if you asked me to climb a mountain of swords, I wouldn't hesitate. All right, I've secured an ad for you. It's for SY Group. They've approached us several times before, but you always refused. So many artists are fighting for this opportunity. And now you're finally going to take it. Use this time to shoot the ad. If you refuse again, I'll smash my head right in front of you. Fine, I agree. Kathy left satisfied. And the next morning, she dragged me to the shooting location bright and early. The advertisement shoot went smoothly. As everyone involved was from the industry, no one mentioned that news about me to my face, but I could still feel the prying glances behind my back, especially when lunchtime arrived. Someone ordered a lavish meal from a 5-star hotel for me. The moment that luxurious food box was brought in, it caught everyone's attention. Kathy looked bewildered. Did you order this? I innocently spread my hands. I thought you were the one who ordered it. Her eyes widened like copper bells. What kind of dream are you having? The staff were whispering among themselves, and I guess the rumor about me being secretly sponsored by a mysterious benefactor would soon be confirmed by some self-proclaimed insiders. Kathy obviously thought of this too, her expression turning very unpleasant. Should we not eat it? The crew over there saw we had a luxurious lunch and didn't even prepare boxed meals for us. If we didn't eat, we'd just go hungry, and going out to eat would only delay the shooting schedule. Besides, since it had already been delivered, not eating it would be even more wasteful. So, our Kathy calmly finished all the food under the burning gazes of the crowd. We thought this little episode was over, but less than half an hour later, someone delivered afternoon tea from a 5-star hotel. He even said it was Miss Wen's boyfriend treating everyone. Everyone froze briefly, then quickly cheered with thanks. Thank you, Miss Wendy, your boyfriend is too generous. Kathy pulled me aside and pressed. Tell me the truth. When did you get a boyfriend? Who is he? I'm telling you now, I don't even know who this so-called boyfriend is. Would you believe me? I'd believe you if hell froze over. She stared at me, her eyes slowly widening. You really don't know? I nodded. Kathy acted as if facing a formidable enemy. Could it be some obsessed fan who ordered this? Oh no. Oh no. It's just the two of us today. What if he comes to ambush you? For the entire afternoon, Kathy was on high alert, tensely eyeing anyone who walked in wearing a delivery uniform. As soon as the director called it a wrap, she immediately packed up and left with me, not wanting to stay a moment longer. Yet when we reached the parking lot and saw that tall figure standing by the car, walking toward us, Kathy's psychological defenses instantly crumbled. She planted her feet firmly in front of me, her voice trembling. Go quickly, I'll hold him off. I stood motionless, watching that familiar figure draw nearer and nearer. Kathy was so anxious she was almost in tears. Go now, she urged. Charles walked up to Kathy and, seeing her protective stance like a mother hen, smiled faintly. With a gentle expression, he extended a hand. Hello, I'm Charles, the CEO of Bilingual Group. Kathy was flattered to shake his hand, as excited as if she had met the god of wealth. Hello, hello. Thank you so much for choosing Wendy as your company's spokesperson. I'm also Wendy's boyfriend. Charles's next words directly stunned Kathy into silence. Her neck turned mechanically at a 90-degree angle to look at me, her gaze vacant. Didn't you say you didn't have a boyfriend? I wanted to answer no, but for some reason, seeing the faint smile on Charles's lips, I felt an inexplicable sadness. The denial reached the tip of my tongue, yet I couldn't bring myself to say it. She's been giving me the cold shoulder lately. Sorry to trouble you with this. Kathy looked like she'd just won the lottery. When she left, she was practically floating on air. The vast parking lot was empty except for the two of us. Charles walked toward a car first, then glanced back at me after a few steps. Follow me. It wasn't until I got into the car that I noticed Kayla sitting in the back. Though it had only been 2 years since we last met, she looked so haggard it was as if she'd aged a decade. The moment she saw me, the resentment in her eyes was practically overflowing. Charles sat in the driver's seat and coldly uttered 2 words, "Speak." Kayla's shoulders trembled, and she began to spill everything like beans pouring out of a bamboo tube. I'm sorry, I was the one who put Mr. Charles's phone on silent and deleted the call logs. I also took those photos secretly. Actually, Mr. Charles just gave me a ride to the subway station on his way. I remained silent. Kayla finally couldn't hold back and burst into tears with a loud sob. Ever since you left, I haven't had a single good day. Mr. Charles keeps sending me on business trips every other day, either to Gansu or Tibet. He even said if you don't forgive him, he'll transfer me to Africa. Kayla shook my sleeve, crying her heart out. Poor me. only 26 years old but already worn down like I'm 36, and I haven't even had a boyfriend yet. Looking at those two enormous dark circles under her eyes, I genuinely felt a bit sorry for her and couldn't help but comfort her. Don't cry anymore. I forgive you." Kayla instantly wiped away her tears and said hesitantly to the driver's seat, "I've completed the task, so about Africa, you don't have to go." Upon hearing this, Kayla didn't hesitate for a second. She immediately opened the car door and got out, vanishing in the blink of an eye, as if a ghost were chasing her inside the car. Charles kept his eyes fixed ahead, not even glancing at me from the corner of his eye, and smoothly started the car. Several times along the way, I tried to speak, but was deterred by Charles's aloof expression. The scenery outside the window grew increasingly familiar, until we finally stopped in an urban village. I followed Charles through a long alleyway and arrived at the entrance of a low-rise house. Charles deftly pulled a key from his pocket to unlock the door, and I followed him inside. Everything here remains exactly as it was before. Even the bed sheets are still the sky blue ones we picked out together, though they've faded a bit from washing. Charles took a can of beer from the fridge and sat on the sofa, taking a few sips. I moved to sit by the bed, quietly watching him drink. His face hasn't changed at all from before, perhaps because he rarely smiles. His lips form a straight, flat line, exuding an aura of cold detachment, but for some reason, seeing him like this in such a room, I felt a long-lost warmth rise in my heart. Even the bedsheet felt warm to the touch. I suddenly froze. Wait, something didn't seem right. I bolted upright. And sure enough, there was a bright red stain on the pure blue bedsheet. Charles noticed my movement, his gaze following and landing on that small bloodstain. His hand holding the beer froze, his face turning red then pale. I looked at his expression and mustered my courage. I didn't prepare for that. Charles frowned. For what? Charles seemed to realize something, his handsome face stiffening before he finally gritted out a few words through clenched teeth. "Don't even think about it. Go buy it yourself." I didn't speak, just crouched on the ground clutching my stomach and stared at him. Charles glared at me for a few seconds before finally giving in, stomping off angrily to change his shoes and head out. The nearest 24-hour supermarket was quite far. From the window, I watched Charles jogging all the way, the night breeze tousling his hair, making him look unusually gentle. 15 minutes later, already changed into fresh clothes. I lay on the sofa watching him move about stiff-faced. He changed the bed sheets, did the laundry, then went to the kitchen and brought me a cup of brown sugar ginger tea. The pungent aroma of ginger made me instinctively frown. "I don't want ginger." Charles raised his eyebrows and snorted. "I advise you not to act recklessly." In the end, under Charles's stern supervision, I was forced to finish that bowl of ginger tea. After drinking it, my mouth was filled with a spicy taste, and my stomach churned. I felt like throwing up. "Open your mouth." I instinctively opened my mouth in response. The next second, a candy was placed in my mouth. With a gentle press, the subtle flavor of preserved plum spread across my tongue, instantly masking the taste of ginger. Charles's voice remained cold, laced with impatience. "You're the only one making a fuss." I grabbed his arm, looking up at him. "I'm sorry." He lowered his head and stared into my eyes, speaking each word with utmost seriousness. "Sorry for what?" "Everything. Wendy, what exactly have I done to make you feel so insecure? Do you really believe so firmly that I would fall for someone else?" Reflected in his eyes were unmistakable pain and helplessness. He didn't do anything wrong. The one who made the mistake was me. In the end, I even doubted his sincerity because of this and convinced myself he would change his heart. "It's not your fault." My eyes ached unbearably, and my throat felt clogged with something. "It's me who doesn't believe in myself. I don't deserve to be loved like this by you." Charles laughed in exasperation. "You think you don't deserve my love? Then why did you tarnish my innocence?" The emotions I had carefully built up were shattered by his words, leaving me unable to cry anymore. Tears hung precariously on my eyelashes as I glared at him. "What does a man need innocence for?" Charles snorted coldly. "Haven't you seen what netizens say? Innocence is a man's best dowry. You took my dowry away. Do you want me to stay single forever?" I glared at him resentfully for a while, then reached out to wrap my arms around his waist, smearing tears and snot all over him. Charles lifted the hem of his shirt in disgust to wipe my tears. "Stop crying. You look hideous when you cry." He had a lean and toned physique, with a thin layer of muscle covering his stomach, looking exceptionally beautiful. I couldn't resist quietly placing my hand on it and stroking. Charles couldn't take it anymore and pulled my hand away, then wrapped me up in the blanket before hugging me tightly. Just behave yourself at a time like this, go to sleep. Perhaps the ginger tea with brown sugar had worked its magic. My stomach stayed warm the entire next morning. Lately, since I don't have work anyway, I've been following Charles in the mornings to watch him at his job. He works while I eat snacks and watch movies beside him. At noon, the secretary came in to ask Charles what he wanted to eat. Without even looking up, he tilted his chin toward me and said, "Let her decide." Only then did the secretary notice someone lying on the sofa nearby. I looked up and gave him a sweet smile. "I'd like some noodles." The secretary took a clear look at my face, so startled that their mouth opened and closed repeatedly, yet not a single word came out for the longest time. Charles frowned as he looked at me. "Don't even think about it," he said before turning to the secretary with a cough, his voice icy. "What are you staring at? Order her a bowl of rib soup." Only then did the secretary snap out of it, nodding hurriedly before rushing out to make arrangements. I got up and sat on his lap, wrapping my arms around his neck and swaying back and forth. "But I just want to eat stinky rice noodles." At that moment, the door suddenly opened, and the secretary returned. "President, you haven't told me what you'd like to eat. Should I order?" Charles pressed my face against his shoulder. "I'll have the usual, and also, get another portion of stinky rice noodles." Okay. After dinner, Charles and I were lying on the sofa, watching a movie I had acted in. Every time the male lead appeared, Charles would start nitpicking and criticizing relentlessly. "Can someone with this level of acting even be called an actor? The way he looks at you is like he's staring at a piece of pork belly. What? Is his family starving or something? And he dares to take off his shirt with just that one lump of a six-pack." And as soon as the camera showed me, he immediately switched to another mode. This look of disdain is perfectly acted, clearly the mark of a skilled performer. We were just getting into it when suddenly the office door burst open. The secretary rushed in with a laptop, completely ignoring Charles's icy glare. He placed the laptop in front of us. "Boss, you're on the entertainment news," the bold black headline prominently displayed in the center of the web page. "Exclusive, the mysterious financial backer behind Wendy emerges." The moment I clicked, a photo of Charles and me holding hands as we entered the company popped up, high definition and uncensored. Leaving nothing to the imagination, 360-degree news coverage dissected Charles's rise to wealth and current net worth, even digging up his past romantic history. A blurry photo was placed below, showing a boy who was unmistakably Charles in his childhood. While I only revealed a small part of my profile as I tilted my head to look at him, netizens went wild in the comments section. "Flying rabbit. The man abandoned his first love after getting rich. The woman dumped her ex after becoming famous. A perfect match between two scumbags. I don't have cat biscuits. No wonder she got such good resources after debut. Turns out she had a sugar daddy." Wendy's fangirl. "Good resources are because of her own acting skills. Don't just throw accusations around." Wendy's biggest fan. "My goddess's acting skills are obvious to all. Don't your consciences hurt when you spread rumors?" Onlooker, just a bystander here. Purely think they make a great couple. Besides, don't all you netizens have exes? Charles sent a few photos to his secretary and whispered a few more instructions. The secretary looked at Charles excitedly, her face brimming with eagerness. "Got it, I'll notify the PR department right away." Kathy called immediately afterward, firing off words like a machine gun. "Don't panic yet. I'll contact the website to have them take down the news." Me, "Maybe you should check social media first." Kathy fell silent for a few seconds, then let out an angry roar. "Wendy, are you pulling some kind of stunt on me? The ex-boyfriend issue isn't even over yet. Do you want to be drowned in netizen spit?" Charles took the phone, his voice gentle and polite. "Miss Kathy, I'm the ex-boyfriend they're talking about online. On social media's trending list." The official account of SY Group posted a statement. First, it acknowledged the romantic relationship between their CEO and a famous female celebrity, detailing Charles's entrepreneurial journey and expressing gratitude to his longtime girlfriend, Wendy. Then, it sharply condemned the unethical paparazzi and stated that legal action would be taken against those spreading rumors. The 9-grid layout below was filled with photos of me and Charles. The first one was the blurry photo released by the media, except this version was high definition, clearly showing that the person looking up at Charles was indeed me. The backgrounds of the last two photos are both at the entrance of Charles's company. One shows him putting a helmet on me while sitting on his electric scooter after work when he first started his business, and the other is today's news photo of us holding hands. Netizens are absolutely thrilled. OMG, what kind of legendary love is this? I'm totally shipping them. Charles, Wendy, SY Group. Even the company name is sweet. Thought they were playboys and playgirls. Turns out they're warriors of pure love. My former company was in that same building too. We both started by renting just one office space, but now they've bought the entire building while our company went bankrupt long ago. They went public with this announcement in just a few minutes. Don't they need to discuss with the company when they have connections? Kathy replied to the netizen using the company's official account. The in-laws have agreed. Do you have a problem with that? This remark instantly went viral online. Netizens began referring to the company as the in-laws, and for a time, the term, the in-laws, became a trending internet meme. Later, while appearing on a talk show, the host brought up this past incident. Back then, countless people were moved by your love story. Everyone said you made them believe in love again. I glanced at someone in the audience and said softly with a smile, I also started believing in love again because of him. The audience followed my gaze and spotted Charles sitting in the back row, instantly erupting into screams. My photo with Charles making eye contact was also taken and posted online. Netizens captioned it, "May we all meet someone who smiles the moment they see you." After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.